Welcome to the Commander Crew, a Magic the Gathering Commander YouTube channel where we ask the question, who's your commander?
We want to thank you for watching our videos. You can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and hitting the bell notification icon.
You can also go to thecommandercrew.com to check out our t-shirts, masks, pet hoodies, and other Commander Crew goodies.
If you want to buy any of the cards seen in this video, be sure to click our TCG Player affiliate link in the show notes below.
Lastly, you can help us out by heading to our official Patreon page and becoming a direct supporter of the channel. Now let's
get to the
video. Oh no.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Chris in the Commander Crew, and welcome to another Deck Tech. In this Deck Tech, we're going to go over a recent card that I played on the channel called Vega the Watcher. I'm pretty excited about this deck, and I can't wait to show you how I built it out. Now let's get into that Deck Tech. I'd like to shout out to all of our followers, and it's because of you that us at the Commander Crew continue to create Magic the Gathering content. If you have not already, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for future videos. This helps the channel and everyone here at the Commander Crew quite a bit. Thank you again for all of your support. With this Deck Tech, we're going to go over the strategy, how to build a board, and how to get victory. Each deck we will break down the primary theme, ramp conditions, protection and removal options, synergy setups, and win conditions. In this Deck Tech, we have Vega the Watcher. Our primary condition is to disrupt the board, delay the game, draw as many cards as possible, and win. Vega is a 2/2 bird spirit with flying that reads, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you may draw a card. I don't play blue-white too often, so I'm pretty excited to see how disrupting and basically stacking the board out to win the game is, and let's see how this plays. First, we have the Rocks to ramp the overall board state. We have Arcane Signet for 2 that taps for any color of our commander, and Soul Ring for a colorless that taps for 2 colorless. Then we have Knight of the White Orchid for 2 double white, where when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search for a planes opponent in the battlefield. And Burnish Heart for 3 colorless, where you pay 3, sacrifice, and search for 2 basic lands to put them on the battlefield tapped. For Rocks to choose color, we have Sky Diamond for 2 that taps for blue, Azorius Signet that filters out for blue-white for 2, and Marble Diamond, which taps for a white that also costs 2. Then lastly, we have Thought Vessel for 2 that gives us no maximum hand size and taps for a colorless, and Mind Stone for 2 that taps for colorless but may also let us draw a card later in the game if need be. The main focus of this deck is to play spells other than our hand. These are things I call 2-time spells. We have Mission Briefing for blue-blue, lets us Surveil 2, then choose an instant or sorcery card from our graveyard, and then we can cast it and then put it into exile. Emerge Unscathed for a single white, where target creature gains protection from a single color, but it also has Rebound. And then Sakashima's Protege for 4 blue-blue for a 3/1, where it has Flash and Cascade, and when it enters, it comes as a copy of whatever entered the battlefield this turn. Then we have some adventure cards that let us play things twice. We have Giant Killer for a white for a 1/2, where you can tap target creature, but you can also pay 2 and a white to destroy target creature with power 3 or greater. Fairy Godmother for a white for a 1/1 flyer, but you may give a target creature +2/+1 in flying. Realm Cloaked Giant for 5 white for a 7/7 vigilance, but you can also pay 3 white to destroy all non-giant creatures. And then Shepherd of the Flock for 1 and a white for a 3/1, where you can also pay a single white to return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. For foretell creatures, we have Stoic Farmer for 3 and a white for a Dwarf Peasant 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you look for a basic plains and put it into your hand, but if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may put it into the battlefield tapped. Sage of the Beyond for 5 blue for a 5/5. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 2 less to cast. That helps in absolute clutch. And then Cosmos Charger for 3 and a blue, where it has Flash and Flying, but foretelling cards from your hand costs 1 less to cast and can be done on any turn. This can help out substantially because we have a lot of foretell cards. Then we have Depart the Realm for 1 and a blue, where you can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Behold the Multiverse for 3 and a blue, Scry 2 then draw 2, and then Ravenform for 2 and a blue, exile target artifact or a creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 bird token with flying. Foretell is awesome because you can basically play it for much cheaper on a later turn, basically making it a trap card. It's pretty awesome. And then we have Talent of the Telepath for 2 blue. Target opponent reveals the top 7 cards of his or her library. You may cast an instant or sorcery from among them without paying its mana cost. And if you have Spell Mastery, you can put 2 instant or sorcery cards. That's pretty awesome. Enematu's Augury for 6 blue, exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land on the battlefield. And until end of turn, for each non-land card type, you may cast that card without its cost. And then Stolen Goods for 3 and a blue, target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library, and you get to cast any non-land card. This is pretty awesome because there's a lot of top deck manipulation to get cards for free. And then for extra Think Twice cards, we have Deep Analysis for 3 and a blue. The target player draws 2 cards with Flashback for 1 and a blue and pay 3 life. Think Twice for 1 and a blue to draw a card with Flashback 2 and a blue. Scour All Possibilities for 1 and a blue, scry 2 and draw with Flashback 4 blue. And then Chemist's Insight for 3 and a blue, draw 2 cards, but it also has Jumpstart. Basically, when you have Vega on the battlefield, each of these cards that have the Flashback is going to draw you an additional card. So there's a lot of value when you want to draw through your deck as fast as possible. Since there's going to be so much drawing, let's get some extra value for those draws. Teferi's Ageless Insight for 2 blue. If you were to draw a card except for the first one, you draw 2 cards instead. And Ominous Cease for 1 and a blue. And whenever you draw a card, you put a Foreshadow counter on this. When you remove 8, you get to put a 8/8 blue Kraken onto the battlefield. That's a pretty big creature right there. Then if your opponents are drawing cards, guess what? We have Smothering Tide for 3 and a white. We all know what this does. Whenever an opponent draws a card, if they don't pay 2, we're creating a colorless treasure token. And that adds any color mana. This can go off substantially crazy if you have some windfalls in the deck. And since we're drawing so many cards, we want to throw a Psychosis Crawler in there. It's 5 colorless for a Star, where its power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your hand. But whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. We're going to be drawing so much, we're going to make our opponents lose a lot of life. Alright, now I want to disrupt the board and make sure our opponents don't get too crazy with us. And we want to make sure we win in the end. We have Windfall for 2 and a blue, where each player discards his or her hand and draws that many cards to the greatest card. Hull Preacher, basically for 2 and a blue. If they were to draw a card except for the first, you're getting a treasure token. Narset Part of Reveals for 1 blue for 5 Planeswalker. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library and you may reveal a non-creature, non-land put into your hand. And then Mystic Remora for a single blue. It's got cumulative upkeep of 1, but whenever an opponent plays a non-creature spell, you draw a card unless they pay 4. So you're going to be drawing a lot of cards, and your opponents are going to be drawing none. Then to stop things even further, we have Teferi's Puzzle Box for 4. At the beginning of each player's draw step, you draw a card, then you put that many cards on the bottom of your library and draw that many cards. So if they have cards in their hands they want to keep, they're gone. They have Null Rod for 2 colors. Activate abilities of artifacts can't be activated. Then we have Curse Tome for 2 colors, where players can't activate abilities of creatures. This basically shuts down most of people's boards. Then to slow them down even further, we have Grand Abolisher for white for a 2/2. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Basically, they can't cast instants in your turn. Propaganda for 2 and a blue, where they can't attack you unless they pay 2 for each attacking. And Ghostly Person for 2 and a white, same thing. They can't attack you unless they pay 2 if they're attacking. Basically, we're going to make our opponents not play anything and not attack us whatsoever. And then we have Drannith Magistrate for 1 and a white for a 1/3. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hand. And then Knowledge Pool for 6 colorless with Imprint. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of their library. And whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, they exile it. And then you can play something from Knowledge Pool. But the 2 of these cards together basically means your opponents can't play absolutely anything. This is a serious combo to watch out for, because once it's on the battlefield, you're going to be the target. People are going to want to get rid of you. Now let's get a little bit of extra value in this. We have Land Tax for a white, where at the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponent has more lands than you get to search for 3 basic lands to put in your hand. Lightning Greaves for 2 colorless, where equipped creature has Haste and Shroud for 0 colorless. Basically, protect our Vega. Isochron Scepter for 2 colorless with Imprint. When it enters, you exile a card with Converter Mechanics 2 or less. Pay 2 and you can cast it. So basically, that's casting from outside of your hand, getting even more value with Vega. And then Future Sight for 2 triple blue. Yeah, it's a little high up there, but you play with the top card of your library revealed. And you can play cards from the top of your library as though it were in your hand. This gives you even more value with Vega on the board. Now let's figure out how we're going to protect ourselves and protect our spells. Mana Drain for double blue, counter target spell. At the beginning of your next main phase, you add X mana, where X was the mana cost. Counter spell, simple, double blue counter target spell. Arcane Denial, 1 and a blue, where basically you draw a card and they draw 2 cards, so extra draw value. And then Remand for a 1 and a blue, where you counter target spell into their hand instead of the graveyard, but you still get to draw a card, which is pretty awesome. A little bit of delay, but pretty much awesome. And then we have Generous Gift for 2 and a white, destroy target permanent, they get a 3/3 elephant. Grasp of Fate, 1 white, when it enters, for each opponent you exile up to 1 target non-land permanent. Teferi's Protection, 2 and a white, we're basically gone for a single turn, you can't get messed with. And then Reality Shift for 1 and a white, it's the blue Swords to Plowshares. They get a 2/2, who cares? We get to get rid of something, and it's exiled. Now, a couple little quick extras to give extra value. Preordain for a single blue, scry 2, draw a card. Brainstorm for a single blue, draw 3, then put 2 cards back on top of your library. Basically, a little bit of top deck manipulation. They've been Light Intuitive for a single white, where we search for an artifact or enchantment and put on top of our library, find the specific card we want to get, and then Dramatic Reversal for 1 and a blue, untap all target non-land permanents you control. Now we gotta make sure we wrap the board, because we don't want to die to basic combat damage. We have Dusk Till Dawn for 2 white, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Basically kills pretty much the entire board. And then Dawn, return all creatures with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand, which is pretty much all the creatures in our deck. And then simply we have Wrath of God for 2 white, destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. And this is how we win. Basically, once we locked our opponents and draw our entire deck, how do we win? We have Teferi's Tutelage for 2 and a blue, where whenever we enter the battlefield, you draw a card and then discard a card. But whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2 cards. So you basically mill your entire opponents. Labman, 2 and a blue for a 2/2. If you draw a card with no cards in your library, you win the game. And then we have Approach of the Second Sun for 6 and a white. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand, you've cast another spell at this game, you win the game. Otherwise, you put it to your library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. With the amount of draw that we have, we're going to draw this card very, very quickly. So we could potentially draw this, and then on the very next turn, win the game. I'm pretty excited about this. I've always wanted to get a deck with Approach of the Second Sun, and I think with Vega, we have that chance to win very easily. And then we round things out with some non-basic lands. Skycloud Expanse, Tranquil Cove, Sajiri Refuge, Irrigated Farmland, and Glacial Floodplain each tap for either of our colors, whether they enter tapped, gain life, or cycle things out. Castle Vantress to let us scry, Command Tower for either color, Reliquary Tower to give no maximum hand size, Field of Ruin to destroy target non-basic land, and then Myriad Landscape to ramp up 2 additional lands. And the rest are basically just a couple of islands and a couple of plains. Round it all out right together. And that's my Vega deck. I'm pretty excited for it. I do enjoy playing stacks. I do like playing a little bit of control, but like with Vega, you're not focused solely on just disrupting the entire board and just trying to basically stop players from playing. This allows the opponents to still play their spells, but still basically having the option to play yourself. I think it's pretty neat to make you have to think about, like, how do I play cards not from my hand? With all the different 2-time spells, I think it was pretty interesting to see how this played out, and you can go basically any direction you want. You can get Flashback, Unearth, you can get Jumpstart. There's so many different things you can do, and this is just the start of it. You can basically go all in on one single thing. All in on Flashback, all in on Foretold. There's a lot of different options, and Vega gives you that different ability. I definitely like Vega because it makes you think differently other than just a typical card. It's not just straight combat, straight control. It makes you think differently, and that's what I like most about Vega the Watcher. Overall, the converted mana cost is kind of low. It's around 3. You want to keep the converted mana cost as low as possible, and with this, I definitely help that out, especially when we are playing spells from outside of our hand. We want to be able to play as many spells as possible, and with the low CMC, we have that ability. The deck is almost primarily blue with a little bit of splash of white. That's more so because we have things that basically help the overall board state. Their overall cost of the deck was around $434 on TCG Player. It's a little higher than my normal price, but you can just take away maybe 4 or 5 cards and swap them out, and you're back down to a $100 to $150 deck. This is a very versatile deck, and I'm very excited about playing this deck. Now, how would you build Vega? Would you put way more disruption? Would you put way more draw? Like, how would you build it? I'd love to hear how you would put it. Please let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and please remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for future videos because it definitely helps us out a lot at the Commander Crew. And remember, who's your commander? This is Chris from the Commander Crew. Peace.